Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Misty Hills here at Hobo's Hollow. A little bit early in March here on the server. I've got to wait about an hour till I can really sync up the server. So it's early morning here in reality, but not as early as this is showing. So the server's fallen behind 4 or 5 hours again, which is not atypical. So haven't been on for a bit, as you can see. Obviously that has created a situation again where the BGA has run out of silage, so that's going to get resolved as well. But right now I'm heading down here to get the mineral feed that I've been feeling I needed for quite some time. So before it gets to be dire and then I end up having a problem with the cows, it's time. So here we go. We'll get mineral feed going. I don't recall. I'm pretty sure there's a limit on this, but let's just make sure. Yes, I have nothing on with the fill limiter itself. If it stops, it's going to be a weight issue. And typically I think it's around 28,000 liters or something that it ends up stopping at with things, if it will do that. If it doesn't, we'll be here for a bit, so let's see where we get to. Good news is we were able to get a full trailer load of mineral feed, so this will absolutely keep us stocked for quite some time. It's gonna not get us refilled again, because I think we can go up to 147,000, but given how slow mineral feed consumes, it'll be more than enough. It'll get us right up there around 100,000 liters of mineral feed, because we're down to about 41,000 liters when I just checked when I got onto the server. Similarly, there's other products that are getting low. I think we're down to like 20,000 liters of hay, so I'm going to be spending time right now this morning going ahead and moving product around to the cow barn, to the BGA. We've still got some slurry left that's producing, so the BGA hasn't been unproductive at all. I'm sure it's covered its operating costs, even with the little bit of silage that's in there. Or not silage, slurry that's in there. Just trying to do the maintenance, but trying to juggle it all between what I've got on generational farming and life and everything else in general. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to back in from here, because otherwise I'm kind of playing around. The trigger's at the edge of the barn, and so it's a little bit challenging to get to if I pull in forward and then basically try to get the trailer in the right location. So I'm going to try here, because it's really kind of in that corner by the little silo piece and the barn. So there we go. This is just a lot cleaner. So it took a while to fill, as you could tell, obviously, but much faster to dump. I guess we'll take a look here and kind of make a little bit of a plan. So, yeah, I'm able to get at least 2 trailers of hay, plenty of silage, kind of however much I want, and straw is similar, so I've got a lot of product to move, but just to move along here, I just don't know. Yeah, I'm not even going to have enough time, darn it. Yeah, I was hoping I could get to the barn, or to the silo, get some silage and put it in the BGA. I might be able to do kind of a quick run, but I'm not even sure, because this isn't as if this truck is super fast. Because what I was thinking is I might be able to just grab a few thousand liters, run it down to the BGA, so that when it goes, it when the time flips that will be good, but I'm not even sure. I'm going to try it, but I'm not even sure that it's going to work. So let's see, because just even this acceleration and all that, I'm sure I'm just going to miss it by a few seconds, because as soon as that goes to 1, the BGA will have tried to produce. There we go. So we missed it, but at this point I'm on the way, so we'll throw it in there. It just kind of looks in the dark like there's something there, but there isn't, trust me. It was bone dry and not producing, but every little bit will help. So yeah, picking up the grass here, the curves at the end were definitely a challenge, I will say that. So that's probably something I will not do again. But yeah, at this point, I'm gonna probably have to mow grass relatively soon. Now once again, it's probably not even growing yet. It'll start tomorrow. I'm not in any danger of needing grass before I could get a really full harvest again, so that I'm not running the small amount. Everything I've harvested is still not processed. If we go in here, you can see we've still got 108,000. And just even the time I got in here, which was a little bit before I started the recording, it was 111,000. So it's processing quickly. You know, we've got 3,000 liters or whatever in just a few minutes, because this does over 200,000 liters a day. So it definitely processes quite quickly. But I'll be able to get this in here. That'll have me at 60,000. I'll probably start running some silage over to the cow barn, just kind of stick with what I'm doing here. But I wouldn't have even had the full capacity of the production of the silo utilized if I let that extra 100,000 run. So moving, I probably could move close to 150,000 or so. So I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and start running things over to the barn. I know I can get at least 3? Yeah, I should be able to get at least 3, because it's at 150, and I think 347,000 is the capacity, so I can get 3, not quite 4 though, because it's just a bit shy of 60,000 liters in this trailer. So I do like the capacity of the trailer. It certainly works quite well for what I have. I'm not moving small hunks of material. So that obviously minimizes the amount of runs I need to make. But it also obviously then empties things pretty quickly. So I think, I was over 700,000, but I'll already be down. I'm starting in the 670s as I start to fill this, and we'll probably be below 500,000 before we're done. So I'm going to use, 170,000 liters or more of silage here. So I can put a little bit more in the BGA, but I just want to get to the point where the cows are doing what they need to do to stay at capacity. So we're above 400,000 in milk, and we're getting very close here. So it actually looks like we won't hit 200,000, which is what I thought was going to be the capacity when I was eyeballing it way back at the beginning. So it's interesting that it's at 500. So I wonder if if it's like 177,000 or something, and we're getting close, because it's been adding 1,000 liters every hour. So seeing a 500 in there does have me intrigued, like what's exactly happening. So maybe this is the capacity, and it will kind of just stay there. So the other thing over time, and I don't need to do that immediately, especially since things turned over now, and I don't think I'll be out here. I almost jackknifed again. When I come down that hill and turn, there's something that just causes the truck to whip. And I've gotten stuck a few times. I got hung up on the dairy one time. That was not pleasant. Where is my trigger? There we go. Alright, so this will get us back over 200,000 liters of silage in there, ready for the robot to process. But what I was starting to try to articulate is what I think I'm going to need to check is, once I'm at capacity, does the burn rate of the building change at all? Because basically it was consuming a certain amount of product, but it was doing that and also adding 1,000 liters of food to the storage capacity into that, likely that vertical silo there, unless in theory that's for the mineral feed. So maybe it's in the troughs, is that 170,000 liters is sitting out there in the barn. But once it can't produce that extra 1,000 liters, in theory it should use 1,000 liters less of product to keep going. So that's a little bit of the other benefit of keeping things flowing, is that I'm going to extend my barn capacity a little bit. I mean, again, 1,000 liters across 4 product items, if it was split evenly, which it's not, would obviously just be 250 an hour. So, even in a 24-hour day, you're talking maybe 6,000. Or in a 24-hour day, yeah, you're talking like 6,000 or something per product, which is obviously 10% of one of these tractors or trailers. So it's nothing significant, but it does extend it, a few hours here and there. And obviously if I run things as I had been pretty full, then over time that obviously adds up, because it's going to do that 24,000 liters every day for perpetuity. And obviously then 4 days, that's almost 100,000 liters. In a year we're talking almost a 300,000 liter savings of material. So it does add up. Similar to, when people in personal finance look at things and say, yeah, I'm just buying a $3 or $4 cup of coffee every day. It's not going to matter. But you add that up over, 200 working days a year and a 40-year working career for most people. That's a lot of money. So, becomes those little things don't appear so little when you aggregate them over an extended time period. All right. Oops. All right. So yeah, I can get another load in here for sure. That'll get me close, and then again I need 2 loads of hay, 2 loads of straw. And the straw will get consumed slower, as it always does. So right now, still nothing on land acquisition in any way. I'm kind of intentionally trying to not say auctions, because I don't know if that's what's going to be coming back or not. I'm not sure what the process will be to let us do things, but it is the end of the month, and so at this point we were kind of initially told that was the target for getting things going. I don't think we're going to hit that. I think things have gotten backed up just because of the amount of work that is going on across a million things that the time is split across for them. So similar to me struggling to keep up on the farm, they're kind of struggling to keep up on the calendar based on all the various pieces that they've chosen to try to keep active. But what that means for us as we play is we are unable to have the opportunity to get the land that we're looking to get the farm expanded. And for me, it's 2 little pieces, but they're 2 little pieces that really kind of the cherry on top of the cake, where I finally have a yard and I can stop parking equipment along the side of the field and just leaving it waiting there, not knowing what's going to be happening, and just looking very sloppy. So, and we do have, at this point, 1 other FM on the server that's actively in here. We still have another, but I'm not sure. I haven't really been monitoring if they're making progress. I know they did clear their fields. They moved some things around a little while ago, but I'm not sure if they're still in that cycle where they're really basically touching things every 3 years or so, kind of doing the bare minimum. I'm not quite sure how that's playing out. But in those other cases, that new one who is trying to be active, he's just got a small field that he was able to get when he got moved in and is desperately waiting to expand. So I'm hopeful that in the next few weeks this all gets resolved, because it's a big gap right now, certainly, especially now as this gets prolonged. For a week or so, we don't necessarily notice it because sometimes the auctions didn't come up for a week. It wasn't unheard of that there wasn't even a parcel of land that came up for sale sometimes, although it was pretty frequent. I would say it was probably a couple times a week we'd see something, and there were some days where for 3 or 4 days in a row a new parcel would be getting listed. Alright, so I'm going to do the hay and the straw at this point. But the piece I'm basically waiting for right now is the wheat to be ready for harvest, which the earliest it would be is June. I'm not quite sure, just with the planting we did, if that's actually going to take place. Alright. Doesn't matter which one we really start with, hay or straw. So since hay was selected, I'm going to go ahead and do that. The hayloft here loads far, far faster than the fermenting silo does. So that's a nice thing. That doesn't take very long. I knew the camera was going to jump in there and get really loud, so I intentionally stopped speaking for a bit so that I wasn't fighting against that. It's just one of those things of how it works. But yeah, we're definitely one way or the other going to be fully loaded before we have to do anything with additional material here for the cow barn. So that is certainly the reality that we're dealing with. So hay has that tiny little pile. That's going to get fixed up. Straw's pretty tiny too. But 1 more load of hay, and then we'll get a couple loads of straw. But yeah, this is a little bit of finally kind of getting into the swing of things, of how things will be, where I'll be running a crop on field 24, and then doing what I need to on field 25 to supply the cows and keep the dairy going. But that's really the operation that this farm has. So it's pretty straightforward. Definitely what I would expect with, any kind of farm. You kind of determine what you're working on, what you're specializing on, and there's certainly farms that I've seen that'll do, say they'll grow soybeans and corn every year, and they literally do that every year. Okay, why? I don't know why it wasn't triggering, because I had triggered earlier than that before. I didn't have to go into that screen where the camera's already under there, so that was a little strange. But obviously I'm just off enough. Like, I know I have product in there, and even if I don't, it should still trigger and show me a bunch of zeros, but yeah, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm probably still gonna go ahead and drop straw when I harvest the wheat this time and pick that up again, and then maybe the next crop I'll not do that, because I don't think I have to do that. I think the million plus of straw that I have right now will get me there, but I'm not entirely sure, and I'd like to kind of keep my days open so that I can figure out my cadence of the mowing on the field that I need to do. I'm hoping that I don't have to mow every time I can, you know, every 4 days, that I'm either trying to pull in some hay or trying to get some more grass in. But right now, absolutely, when I'm able to mow again, I need to pull more grass off and get the fermenting silo really, really jammed full of stuff. So that'll be the next plan for field 25. As I pop on the field here, we'll jump out of the truck just so we can see what stage we're at. But yeah, see, it's still saying harvested, so as opposed to having gone to, say, growth stage 2 of 3, which I think is what we'll actually see when it starts tomorrow. So if it's 2 of 3 tomorrow, that means basically June is going to be when I can go ahead and do something, which is unfortunate in a way, because that's the same day I'm hoping my wheat will be ready. I'm not going to do this field and that, so we'll probably be waiting till July to cycle back and do the grass. But that's a bit of the plan as I see it right now. Yeah, again, we don't have a trigger. Now we finally do. So hay. So yeah, straw's just over 1 million. We'll be below 1 million once I get these 2 loads over there. But given that the consumption of straw is lower than hay per hour, you know, at some point there's a tipping point where the hay would pass the straw. Sorry, I ended up talking through the sound this time, so not intentional, just kind of happened. But yeah, I kind of would like to get stuff into the center, and more importantly, I'd like a silo, a crop silo that I can load up with. I'm less concerned, I guess, if I really think about it, to just not overcrowd that space. Probably the last things I would do. You know, I'll just have to see how things play out, but I don't seem to need a lot of product. So I don't know that having, say, a seed or a fertilizer silo is that important, because it's not something that I drive to that often. I mean, I'm only planting a crop a year. I probably do have to go one time, but the real question becomes, is it worth, you know, the probably couple $100,000 to put silos up here that, yes, I would fill, and you know, all they're really doing is saving me a trip, because I'm still having to go buy the material down at the bulk purchase points. I just don't have to drive there to fill my implements, but I don't have a high enough capacity on these things where I'm having to do that multiple times with the seed hawks. So that's kind of where my head's at right now, is I may just need the crop silo and then equipment barns, and that would obviously make that area a lot less crowded, where if I've got to make room for up to 4 silos between lime, fertilizer, seed, and liquid fert. Or sorry, not liquid fert, but herbicide. I don't really need liquid fert. The solid fert is fine. And some folks may be asking, you know, you've got the cows, why don't you use slurry on your field? I've just not been a huge fan. I've done that for contracts, and the amount of slurry you need and the time it takes and so forth, it doesn't last very long in the tank. I just don't know that it makes a lot of sense. So it's one of those jobs that I'm not a huge fan of. And I don't honestly know if 450,000 liters of slurry would be enough to fertilize that field, and then I'm still supplementing with something else. And right now, like, I have what I need with the crop sensors and whatever. I'd have to buy slurry tanks. I'd have to buy them with sensors to keep my precision farming up. You know, and maybe that would be the difference with the sensors and precision farming. The consumption would decrease enough that it might be viable, but I'm not sure. So we'll see. I mean, it might be one of those that it's like, hey, to do the experiment, we're going to try it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead at this point, because I have enough now that I have hay and straw. I'm going to go grab a full load of silage. I'm going to top off the BGA. I'm going to take the rest over to the cow barn, and if somehow I can't empty the trailer, right now I don't have an immediate need for this trailer to be empty to put something else into it. Worst case, though, I still do have a relief valve in that if I do have to eliminate the silage, I can't dump it back into the fermenting silo, but the hayloft will store it. So I could always move it over there. So that's the other piece, where if I suddenly have a lot more grass in this fermenting silo, I can offload silage, but I think all my cow barn and the BGA are going to do more than enough to avoid this thing from filling up and backing up in any way. I just don't think it's even possible. Because as you can see, I'm barely keeping up, and if I do remember, yes, I think I did mow in December, so I mean, it's been 3 or 4 months that the barn's been running, and I haven't had to worry about it, and it's only consumed about half its silage or whatever, so it's not burning through it at a ridiculous pace, given that the fermenting silo can do, again, over 200,000 a day, and basically I only took 180,000 over there to kind of get where I'm at, so I don't even have a day's worth of fermenting silo production going through. But if I am full and then have capacity in there, that's kind of, I think, where it would make sense to keep it, so that the silo's always kind of topping itself off, which is where I had started. I had well over 1 million in there, and I think I did the 1.5 million or whatever, just like I did with the hay. And so it was able to fit in there, and then as I pulled out, it just replenished it by processing. But this will only go to, there you go, 40. I thought I was going to say 42, but again, I had moved 5,000 in the race at 1 a.m. to try to get things over earlier. But what will change, because I think I'm at the point where I probably need to finally sync the server. It's got to be close here. And I'm still about 15 minutes away, so I think I'll be done. I'm not going to keep you here for another 15 minutes, because I don't think I have 15 minutes of anything to do. In fact, I think this is about it, and then it's just wrapping up and we'll be done. But if you stuck with me through this, I appreciate it. I thank everyone who watches, and hope you're enjoying things. And obviously, again, any comments or any discussion we have about this. Oh, that's right, this is silage. So the trigger is up here. But yeah, any comments or anything, drop them down below. But if you haven't liked the video at this point, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. Let me turn this off here. Should be okay, because this isn't a fill trigger, so I think don't think there's any issue with leaving things there. Alright, and then I'm just going to have to, at some point, keep an eye on this to see, once again, the consumption. But yeah, so 345,000 is the full silage, not 347. It's 147 for the other 3 items, is what it is. Yeah, I'm probably at the point where I should move some milk. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do that, even though it's less than optimal. But once again, I'm heading into the down curve. I didn't sell it in December where I was going to. Once again, it's just running out of time. So I'm going to need to jump in here. So that's probably what that is what I'll go do now. So I'm just going to be running milk back and forth to a sell point. So that's not going to be any significant difference than what I'm doing here. But this time at least you'll actually see a different dollar amount when we come in by a good amount, because my intent is to try to move. I'm trying to remember if this is a 50,000 liter tanker or 60,000. There's just a lot of different quantities on my implements, and I can't keep them all straight. But assuming it's 50,000, which I think is what it is, I'm going to move 400,000, and then that will let the cows do things for a while. But I probably need to focus on just selling that milk in the fall if I can each year, and that needs to be my process. So that is what I'm going to go ahead and do, and that is going to be it for today. So I'm going to wrap this episode up. And as I said, if you drop a like, I'd be appreciated. Also, if you're not a subscriber, I would also greatly appreciate that. You know, my current target right now is to hit that magic 1,000 subscriber mark. So we're getting close. We're knocking on the door of 800. Really would love to get there. So if you can spread the word, I'd appreciate it. And if you yourself aren't subscribed, please do so to get me one closer. And I'll see you next time.